An American Christian couple decided to educate themselves on what's happening in Palestine, and it's shocking how they can understand what so many Christians, I don't believe, even want to understand or want to learn about. So let's begin, shall we? Cue the intro. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, most kind. Welcome back. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share as we reach 1,000 subscribers. Let me know what you guys think. Support the channel any way you can. And without further ado, let's talk about this.
Han Meditation. Hey guys, I'm Han. This is my wife Kelly. We are Han Meditation. We're back for another video, interesting video. We actually wanted to look up more history on Israel versus Palestine.
Right.
We wanted to actually get more educated and learn more. And if you guys know anything about it, please let us be informed in the comments. So let's get right into the video.
Palestine and Israel. It's complicated. Well, at least that's what some people would like you to think. We've long been sold the narrative of a tit-for-tat skirmish of rockets, a real estate dispute, or even a centuries-old religious feud. There's so much more to the story of Palestine we all need to know. So, how did we get here? Let's take it back to the beginning. It starts with the end of a world war, Muslims fighting each other, and a promise made by the West only a century ago. So here's how the story begins. It's 1916, and the First World War is raging on. The Ottoman Empire is 617 years old at this point and is on the brink of collapse. The British and the French had promised the Arabs sovereignty and Arab leadership over the Arabian Peninsula and the Levant if they helped them defeat the Ottomans. And so the Arabs said, okay. And so they helped them defeat the Ottomans. Now I know what you're thinking. What's this got to do with Palestine and the creation of Israel? Just trust me, we'll get there. Okay, so when the British and the French won, the Arabs wanted the land that was promised to them. But little did they know, the British and the French had this little top-secret meeting. And in this top-secret meeting, it was planned that the captured Ottoman province will be divided into areas of British and French control and influence. The British would receive Palestine, Jordan, and southern Iraq, while the French would control southeastern Turkey, northern Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. This was called the Sykes-Picot Agreement. But then the Arabs found out about this agreement, and they were shocked. They had been bamboozled and tricked. They thought that they were fighting a war in order to overthrow their non-Arab Muslim rulers, only to end up with, you guessed it, European colonial rulers instead. Anyway, that's a long story for another video.
Yeah, people don't even understand about that. What kind of the influence of the Western that we see now, and this is why it causes so many of the conflicts we see from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, all those places, is because it starts right there on there. And this little thing, this little, oops, we forgot to tell you about this, it's not the first time it's ever happened, obviously. They've done that multiple times on it. The U.S. has reneged, even in its own soil. With who? The Indian Americans. The Native Americans. Yeah, they've done the same thing. And it's something that they do constantly over and over again on it to pretty much steal what they have on it so they can impose their own rule, because when they say we won't give you sovereignty, it's never true.
Now that the British occupy Palestine, something unusual is happening back in Europe. You see, the Zionist movement had been growing increasingly influential and lobbied hard to support the mass migration of Jews to Palestine and recognize a Jewish claim to the Palestinian land. And in 1917, Britain, out of nowhere, publicly declared its intentions of establishing a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. So the British just gifted Palestine, a country which was made up of 90% Palestinians, to European Zionists. They gave it just like you would give a box of chocolates. Historians still debate till this day why the British gave Palestine to Zionists. It's simply baffling.
And not even that. I mean, can you imagine if somebody came to your home and they said, oh, this home, we gave it to somebody else, so I need you to vacate. That's pretty much what happened. They've decided that what their land that was already taken, where the people already been living there, they just decided they gave it to somebody else. Something we've seen in Indian Americans when they decided, oh, the land that you have, oh, actually, we're going to take it now, and we're going to relocate all of you. And that's it. There's nothing you can say about it. So it's something we've seen throughout history, something they've done before, and it's all about control. How can we exploit this, and how can we use this for our own advantage?
Now, at this point, the Jewish population in Palestine was less than 10%. So when the British started to facilitate the immigration of European Jews to Palestine from 1922 and 1935, the Jewish population rose to 27%. With the British mandate in full swing, mass European Jewish immigration meant that more land would be seized and the native Palestinian population grew increasingly worried. The Palestinians would demonstrate their concerns to their British overlords, but they wouldn't have it. European Jewish settlement was on the rise. The British proposed a partition of Palestine and even advised the forceful removal of the Arab population from their homes. And yes, this was their plan to resolve the issue. So the Palestinians naturally rejected this proposal and revolted against the British. The revolts were crushed violently, killing thousands of Palestinians. But the Palestinians wouldn't give up. They would continue their fight for independence, and the British were clearly fed up. So in 1947, the British decided to hand over the responsibility for Palestine to the United Nations. So basically, they just said, here, clean our mess. And so the UN proposed this ridiculous proposal again, where Palestine will be partitioned into a Jewish and Arab state. Remember, Jews in Palestine only constituted 1/3 of the population, most of whom arrived from Europe just a few years earlier. Yet, in this proposal, they were allocated 55% of the land. Feeling like they got a bad deal again, the Arabs rejected the proposal, and the Zionists accepted. However, here's the catch. The Zionists didn't agree to the proposed borders, and even campaigned for more land. So they agreed to an Israeli state, but didn't agree to the size of it, so they can just choose it for themselves. By 1948, Zionist militia would storm and capture Palestinian populated villages and cities, leaving thousands of Palestinians homeless and landless. The Zionists wanted to seize and cleanse as much land from Palestine before the British would officially withdraw their forces. And on the same day that they left, the Zionists proclaimed the establishment of the new Israeli state. Overnight, millions of Palestinians lost their country. And what's even more bizarre is that immediately the two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, recognized the new state of Israel. And if it couldn't get any worse, May 15th, 1948 was perhaps one of the darkest days in Palestine's history. They called it the Nakba, or the catastrophe. To lose your country, your identity, and your home just like that is something truly horrifying. But that wasn't enough for those Palestinian men, women, and children. They had to be ethnically cleansed from their lands and driven into near total destruction. See, the creation of the State of Israel didn't just mean that 1.9 million Palestinians were forced out of their homes. Didn't just mean that 78% of historic Palestine had been taken from its natives. Didn't just mean that 530 villages and cities were destroyed and ethnically cleansed. And didn't just mean the killing of 15,000 Palestinians in a series of mass atrocities. It means that it was the start of something even more horrifying for the Palestinians.
Well, not even that. We see that in the Native Americans with the Trail of Tears. It is something that somehow is embedded into the mind of Western philosophy, where there are people who are less desirables, we could say. And yeah, they've done it before and they'll continue to do it. They did that to the Native Americans. They killed thousands of them. They displaced them. They stole their land. They raped their women. They killed their children. And nobody can say that didn't happen, because it did. It's historical. And they've done that in numerous places. South America has received such a destruction from the West. They've done the same thing to Africa. And something they just continue to do over and over again without anybody stopping, without anybody saying anything. People just turn a blind like it doesn't happen. Interesting. Maybe that's the Holy Spirit in action. Maybe.
Palestinian people. It signaled over 70 years of occupation, home demolitions, arbitrary arrests, displacements, Israeli expansion, military checkpoints, construction of walls, discrimination, massacres, and bombing of innocent men, women, and children in their own homes. So no, it's not complicated. The Palestinians are a people who have been oppressed and had their lands taken away from them and have been suffering ever since. This is how the events of the past shape the conditions of today. This is why it is important to remember and reflect our history before it repeats itself again. Because Allah knows we don't need it to happen again in another part of the world. May Allah lift the pain and the struggles from our Palestinian brothers and sisters. Ameen.
Wow. Guys, I'd like to start off by saying this is an important issue, and this is why we're trying to spread it onto the channel, because more people need to hear about this and know about this, be educated on this topic. And we feel a responsibility to help people become more educated and learn more about it as we are learning and becoming more educated about that. So with that being said, he started off saying how the Arabs helped the British defeat the Ottomans, and then the British, they split it up as and just said, hey, we're in control of Palestine. You guys get Jordan, and didn't give the Arabs basically anything. And he really just said that point to show how that they were bamboozled, how they were lied to, how they were used and abused. And then out of nowhere, the British just gift Palestine to the Zionists, and no one really knows why. And at that time, people, they were moving in there. The population was less than 10%. It rose over 27%. It kept rising and rising. The Palestinians revolted. They started killing them and slaughtering them. And then the Zionists were allocated 55% of the land, but they even wanted more than that.
It's funny because they gave the UN the power, right, the responsibility, but even the UN itself that stated that Israel's in the wrong in so many other areas on it, but that never talked about. And it's weird because if this is something that was done by any other country, then it becomes wrong. Russia did the same thing with Ukraine, but then, oh no, that's wrong. Oh no, poor babies over there. What are we going to do? Let's send all the money in the universe. But Israel did the same thing to Palestine. And like everything we know, there was a grand plan in motion. They talked about this grand plan in the Middle East. There's a plan. There's been a plan all along, and that was the whole purpose of it all. It was to do that, to give that. Why? There's no way to know. Nobody knows why. But it was a plan. It was a plan that was set in motion. It's a very satanic plan. And now we're seeing the fruits of it. And for somehow, Christians are still okay with it is what baffles me the most, to be honest.
And, neither of them agreed to it because the Zionists, they wanted more land. The Palestinians were saying, this is our land. How are you just going to give our land up and take our land? And then they established the Jewish state there. And then immediately the US, the UN, everyone agreed and recognized that state. And then 1.9 million people were forced out of their home. 539 villages were destroyed over 70 years of occupation. That's really sad. And
yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, of course, especially with things going on now, but you always hear that, things are going wrong in Palestine. And I'm almost kind of embarrassed I didn't know the exact history or anything. So, but, of course, it's good to get educated when you can. So now I understand a lot more than I ever did. It's very, very eye-opening. And yeah, that doesn't make any sense that it would be such a smaller population, but they're getting more than the land, 55%. And that there are these secret deals going on. And it's not what they agreed to in the first place. It's not right, But I'm definitely glad to be educated on this now because I wasn't sure how these things got started and, the history of it. So I feel much better now that I actually am a little bit educated.
Yeah, we're going to continue to learn more. But at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong. Yes. And everyone can understand that and really listen to that and really start to voice their opinions as people are doing now, whether they're protesting or donating money or whatever they're doing to the cause to really get people to understand what is going on. These people have been displaced
Innocent
from their homes. People are getting murdered. Children are being destroyed. And it's not right. There's no
Innocent
way that you
people.
can justify just giving someone else's land because, I mean, let's be real. It's the same thing that happened with Black people, Native Americans all over the world. And, you know, and I don't have any hate in my heart for anybody. Obviously, I love all kinds of people, but this is just the kind of thing that can happen whenever you just let your ego get involved, whenever you become an egomaniac, whenever you become a warmonger, whenever you don't care about anything else and you just want to do what's best for you or whatever you're thinking. Because at the end of the day, they're probably thinking, hey, we can get these people in here that we can control. That's probably what they were thinking the whole time. We can get someone in, let's get someone into this land that we can control and say, hey, they have a right to it. So we're just going to give it to them. It doesn't even make sense. So it's absolutely insane and ridiculous. So, you know, but we're still going to learn more and we're still learning more. So thank you guys for being here. And thank you everyone for donating because we are.
Alhamdulillah, I've seen people waking up to the realization of what's really happening, what's really going on there, and getting educated about it, and actually seeing that this is imperialism. This is what their nation is about. You know, this is, quote, where their fruits come from. And are people going to be okay with that, knowing that, quote, oh, the cost of freedom? There's no freedom. You know, it's your comfort, you know, okay, as long when there's people suffering because of it. Are you okay with that? Are you okay as a quote Christian that your comfort is based on the murder of children and women and elderly and innocent people? Is that okay? You know, can you still look yourself in the eye, in the mirror, and say that you're a Christian and you believe in God and support all these things? It's just appalling. It's wrong. And alhamdulillah, that Allah is showing everyone the reality of things, and people are waking up and speaking against it. So alhamdulillah for them. I hope one day they accept Islam as the true religion, and we'll welcome them. We'll welcome all walks of life, all colors, all, because there's only one God, and He has made us all same, and none of us are any better than the other ones. We are judged by our righteousness or in our deeds. Let me know what you guys think about the video. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And until next time, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace.